Have you ever woken up with a strange pressure? A quiet voice saying you're already late, even before your day has begun? That's not your alarm. That's time anxiety. It's the unease that whispers that you're not doing enough, not fast enough, not soon enough. And even when you try to rest, you feel guilty for resting, because somehow rest feels like waste. We've all felt it. That internal rush that makes you check the clock, not because you have somewhere to be, but because you're afraid of falling behind an invisible schedule that no one actually wrote down. What is time anxiety? Time anxiety is not officially a disorder. It's a cultural condition. It's that inner tension between time as it passes and time as we think it should be used. Psychologists describe it as a form of anticipatory stress, an anxious awareness that time is limited and you might not be using it correctly. Dr. Alex Pang, in his book Rest: Why You Get More Done When You Work Less, notes that our obsession with productivity has created a new kind of fear, not of death, but of lost time. He calls it the modern memento mori. We no longer fear running out of life. We fear running out of efficiency. The neuroscience of feeling behind. Here's something fascinating. The human brain doesn't measure time. It feels it. There's no clock inside us ticking us seconds. Instead, our perception of time is built by memory, attention, and emotion. Neuroscientist Dean Buonomano calls this the brain's time illusion. When you're stressed or distracted, your brain's prefrontal cortex loses its rhythm. Time seems to speed up. When you're bored or understimulated, it slows down. That's why the same hour can feel like 10 minutes or an eternity, depending on your mental state. It's also why the more we rush, the more time feels scarce. It's not that we're running out of time. It's that our perception collapses under the weight of urgency. The age of comparison. Time anxiety thrives on comparison. Every scroll on social media is a reminder that someone, somewhere, is ahead. Someone is younger and already successful. Someone is your age and doing more. Someone older and somehow still faster. We internalize these snapshots as if life were a synchronized race. But time isn't linear, it's psychological. Psychologist Dr. Adrian Barden explains that humans evolved to compare their tempo to others as a survival mechanism. In tribes, moving too slow could mean being left behind. That instinct, amplified by algorithms, becomes a mental echo. You're late, you're late, you're late. But there's no race, only rhythm, and it's different for everyone. Why modern life accelerates time anxiety. Sociologists like Hartmut Rosa describe modernity as an age of social acceleration. Everything, communication, production, decision-making, speeds up, but our biological rhythm doesn't. This mismatch creates what he calls resonance fatigue. Our external world runs on one timeline, fast, efficient, always on, while our inner world runs on another, slow, reflective, human. The gap between the two is where anxiety lives. That's why, even when you're not doing much, you still feel exhausted. Your mind is chasing a pace that your body can't sustain. The psychology of lost time. There's a psychological bias called the Zeigarnik effect. Our brain remembers unfinished tasks more vividly than completed ones. That's why your to-do list feels heavier than it should. Your brain keeps looping through open tabs, replaying them as micro alerts. Don't forget. Don't stop. Don't slow down. This is the same neural pattern seen in mild trauma. Your brain flags it as unresolved. So even when you finish 9 out of 10 things, that one unchecked box haunts you. It's not poor discipline, it's biology. And the cruel irony? The more you try to chase completion, the less rest you get, and the less memory consolidation happens. Meaning, the more you rush, the less your brain actually remembers your progress. So you always feel behind, even when you're not. The myth of catching up. We often tell ourselves, once I catch up, I'll finally relax. But catching up to what? There's no universal timeline for success, learning, healing, or growth. The illusion of catching up is a psychological trap. It gives your anxiety a target that keeps moving forward, like running toward a horizon that always shifts with every step. And here's the truth. You can't win against time. You can only align with it. What time anxiety reveals about you. Time anxiety isn't always negative. It's a mirror. It shows what you value. If you're anxious about wasting time, it means you care about how you live. But when caring turns into obsession, it becomes self-defeating. Therapist Dr. Jenny Odell writes, "Our attention is our life. Every time we give our attention to the clock, the algorithm, the race, we trade a piece of life for measurement. But awareness can flip the script. Once you see time anxiety, you can start to design a different relationship with it." Micro practices to reclaim time. Psychologists suggest small, behavioral experiments that retrain the brain's sense of time. Micro-anchoring. Every 2 hours, pause for 10 seconds and name what you're doing and why. This reactivates the prefrontal cortex and slows the subjective feeling of time. Temporal journaling. Before bed, note one meaningful thing that happened that day. Not efficient, meaningful. Over time, this rewires the hippocampus to perceive your days as full, not lost. Cognitive diffusion. When the thought "I'm behind" arises, answer, "Behind what?" This breaks the illusion of a fixed timeline. These small shifts sound trivial, but they begin to untangle your nervous system from the constant loop of urgency. The art of slower living. You might have heard of the slow movement, inspired by psychologist Carl Honoré's book, In Praise of Slow. It's not about laziness. It's about reclaiming depth. When you slow down, you don't just stretch time, you enrich it. Studies show that when people engage in single-task focus, cooking, walking, journaling, their brain's default mode network activates. That's the region linked to creativity, memory, and empathy. In other words, slowing down makes you more human. Redefining progress. We often confuse growth with speed, but progress isn't about acceleration. It's about alignment. The philosopher Seneca once wrote, "It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." But what if wasting time isn't the same as living slowly? What if unmeasured moments, silence, boredom, rest, are the spaces where meaning grows? That's the paradox of time anxiety. We want to control time, but the more we try, the less of it we feel. The practice of enough. So how do you escape the spiral of never being ahead? You don't. You redefine what ahead means. Here's a simple method. Call it the enough practice. Each morning, write down one line. If I accomplish this one thing, today will have been enough. Not 10, not 5, 1. Neuroscience calls this goal simplification, and it increases both motivation and satisfaction. When your brain completes that one meaningful task, dopamine stabilizes instead of spiking, reducing anxiety loops. Over time, this practice rewires your relationship with productivity itself. You stop performing time. You start inhabiting it. The closing thought. So tonight, when the clock hits midnight and you feel like the day ran away again, pause. Ask yourself, did I move with meaning or with panic? Did I fill the hours or experience them? You don't need to chase time. You just need to return to it, because time isn't your enemy. It's your witness. It has seen every version of you, rushing, pausing, breaking, healing. And it's still here, waiting for you to slow down long enough to notice it. You're not behind. You're not late. You're simply arriving right on time.